Hello, I'm Chris McCarthy. I'm delighted to be with you here today at the Kaktus Festival. I'm joining you from Paris today, but I hope you're going to have a wonderful time. So thanks for the invitation. I'm here to talk to you about when data drives creativity. I come from the creative industry. You may expect a kind of Google data scientist, but I come from the creative industry where I spent 20 years thinking of myself as a brand builder and a storyteller at Essence, helping brands drive value. So I want to talk you through today how I think about data and its role in the creative process in general, how we do that in my team at Google, and give you some tips about how perhaps you in the wider creative industry can do that as well, whether you're a brand advertiser or on the agency side. My team at Google, by the way, the Zoo, you may not have heard, it's not as famous as the Google part of the branding, but we say that the Zoo is where technology and creativity make magic happen together. So we're really in this kind of hotspot: culture, data, technology, creativity, and we try to be helpful in that space. So that's where I'm coming from. I thought I'd start us off with a quick film. When you're so high, when you fall from the sky, you won't break. So come down from the clouds, come down. So come down from the clouds, come down. So some cutting edge technology there, this kind of generative art, capturing movement capture to drive and create these wonderful, rich human experiences, whether that's teaching people to play tennis or explore an emotional landscape, if you like, that's created by some artists working in this space. So some really interesting things going on in the world there. Sorry, I'll just move you on to the right slide. Excuse me, the perils of working from home. So this is my fundamental belief in this space. This is my point of view. You can perhaps disagree with it, but I'll try and convince you that at least it's a kind of receivable point of view. I think data is really creativity's best friend today. We can do amazing things. We've got this incredible toolkit to reach people at a scale, and it's a two-way toolkit. We can, I'll talk a lot about listening via data as well, just understanding the audiences, the human beings that we want to connect with. That's fundamental. That's always been fundamental to our craft. I used to be a creative strategist in agencies, and I was the person that the advertiser would look to and say, help me understand my consumers, the people who buy or gift or are interested in my products. So this has always been a really useful thing. So let me explore this idea a bit. We'll look at some popular culture. We'll look at some fantastic storytellers. I've got some Tarantino for you. And I'll show you some of the work that my team's done and give you, as I said, some kind of takeouts on what you can do with data. So let's go on this journey of exploration. I'm going to take you to the cutting edge of French technology, a time of incredible change, when new technologies were driving cultural impact and change at a time like never before. So am I talking about Le French Tech? Is this a new initiative by President Macron? No, I'm talking about the 11th century. This is the first ever. This is text #1 in the French language from the 11th century. La chanson de Roland, the song of Roland, and it's jam-packed full of data and numbers. Everything I've outlined in red here are numbers in this old French. And this, it really creates a rhythm and a pace to the story. It makes it memorable, makes me believe the story. The Charlemagne was off in Spain for 7 years, right at the beginning. This is the opening verse of the story. So he's not just on summer holidays in Spain. What's going on? Why is he there? And on we go. And it echoes these kind of Homeric epithets, the 20,000 horsemen. And it's a wonderful, wonderful story. It wouldn't work as well without these kind of echoing of all of these numbers. It's a really data-rich text right back into the 11th century. And as I was revisiting this chart, it really reminded me of somebody who does that in today's world. I guess it won't take you long to place this bit of script dialogue. This is the screenplay from Kill Bill. Doesn't that remind you, the 20,000 horsemen reminded me of the Crazy 88s, and they're peppered through the dialogue. You trying to tell me she cut her way through 88 bodyguards before she got to Oren? Nah, he's even playing with our expectations. There weren't really 88 of them. They just called themselves the Crazy 88, and on it goes. But Tarantino does this throughout his movies. I counted 6 bullets. I counted 2 guns in the family safe version of some of Django I was watching the other night. He does this a lot. I think he's really understood the lessons from the Song of Roland about how to create drama through numbers. Nowhere does this happen better than in this amazing scene with the 3 glasses.
Das war ein Scherz. Scherz. Nein, natürlich störe ich. Natürlich störe ich. Meine Herrschaften, gestatten Sie, dass ich Ihnen nachschenke und dann werde ich Ihnen und dem Fräulein Adieu sagen. Erik hat eine Flasche 33 Jahre alten Whisky aus dem schottischen Hochland. Was sagen Sie, meine Herrschaften?
Das ist sehr freundlich, Sturmbannführer.
Erik, der 33er! Und frische Gläser! Wir wollen ja nicht, dass Sie den 33er hier mit Ihrem Gesöfter verseuchen.
Wie viele Gläser? 5. Für mich nicht.
Ich mag Scotch, Scotch mag mich nicht.
Ich auch nicht, ich bleib beim Shampoos.
3 Gläser. How'd the shooting start?
Englishman, gave himself away.
How did he do that?
He ordered 3 glasses. We order 3 glasses. That's the German 3. The other looks odd. Germans would and did notice it.
So here we have Tarantino. He's playing all the same techniques here as back in the Song of Roland. It's the 33-year-old whiskey. How many times did he say 33? 33, get the 33-year-old. He's almost tempting poor Lieutenant Highcox here to say the word and to gesture the word 3. And poor old Highcox, he gets it wrong. He gets his data-driven storytelling wrong. And it was a catastrophe for him. So Tarantino having a lot of fun with numbers. You can see this. Listen for it next time you're sitting in front of a Tarantino movie. And what about the rest of popular culture? Who's a Breaking Bad fan? This is what culture, pop culture, is doing with the content, the cultural content that we all watch and love. People are doing color-based analysis of every single character and producing this wonderful visual data visualization of who wears what. Walter wears these kind of drab, beigey colors because he's mostly, apart from his yellow, when he's doing the meth cooking. And Marie Schrader there is always in purple. This becomes part of her character almost. So this is the kind of fun that people are having. And it's kind of the geeks are leading this cultural charge. How about Black Mirror and the last interactive version of Bandersnatch? This is data-driven storytelling at scale via our TV set and our mobile phones. At each point in the story, each kind of chapter, we stop and we have to make a choice. Does she eat the cornflakes or the soda pops, or whatever it was, and on we go. Within 4 hours of that appearing, the internet and kind of the data geek culture, if you like, had produced a flow, a chart of the choices that as a user we make and what happens in the story and how we loop back. So they're plotting the data architecture, they're kind of retro writing the data architecture of this fantastic story. So this is the world that we're living in the wider kind of cultural sense. How about advertising? Back to our trade. How does this work for brands and organizations wishing to communicate? Here are some highlights over recent years. I'm sure you'll recognize all of them. The UN's Women campaign using Google Auto Suggest. This was a print campaign outdoors on bus stops, but it was printed as if it's really kind of using the language of digital and, of course, a data-driven way of saying, this is what the world thinks. This is still a problem that we have to solve. So using data to provide that kind of shock and outline the problem that's out there for society to solve. Spotify has done this for years now. Spotify is interesting. They've got loads of data, like telcos, like finance, like any online streaming service. They've got loads of data about what people love. And they're overtly, explicitly saying to the world, we have your data. And they're having fun with it. It's in a very positive, playful, quirky manner. But they are saying, we know what you listen to, and we're all weird. So there's no kind of judgment about it. IKEA at the bottom there, they used free data, public available data on what were the most searched for items in their catalog, according to Google, free information. And they built a website where you could buy those items, but they were renamed as the problem that they were trying to solve. Really fun, really playful, owned media, cost them nothing in media. And so the bed, this wonderful comfy bed, was called not whatever in Swedish, but How to Have a Happy Relationship. Really smart, great creative idea, no media cost, not bad. And we all know the example, Grand Prix winner a few years back from British Airways, where the kid would point at the plane and by magic say, look, it's flight BA 475 from Barcelona. It's a really simple campaign. It's absolutely magic, but the magic is in the interface. It all works because of the data architecture. And this one is joyously simple. It's two public data streams. First one, humanity got the hang of a while ago. It's called, what time is it? And the second one is, what are the flights going overhead? They're both public data streams. And just by crossing those two and a great creative idea, you can get a Cannes Grand Prix. Not bad. So this is what's going on and what some brands are doing in this space. And I think that's really interesting work. The industry at large as well is shifting. All of the major awards now have creative data categories and all sorts of subcategories about data-driven storytelling and so on. So things are shifting around us. Why do I care about this? As I said, I'm not kind of a data scientist or anything. I spent my years at university studying, as you can tell, medieval French. But I'm really interested in understanding human people, human beings, users, consumers, call them what you will. Let's think of them as human beings who are emotionally driven above else. So Larry said this years ago, one of my ex-bosses, start with the user first and everything else will follow. Okay, Larry, sounds good, nice promise. How do we deliver on it? Bit of confusion. With the use of data. Yes, indeed. Data is just human stories in disguise. With that, once we decode the numbers, we've got these wonderful, rich human stories, and we can do useful stuff with that. As storytellers, story makers now, I'll show you examples where it's not just telling a story, but creating a live experience with live data interaction. So I now think of myself as a kind of story maker more than just a storyteller. So we can do loads of useful stuff with data. Here on the Google side, what does that mean? We can use over hundreds here of different programmatic signals. When I started in the agency world, and we would get these kind of vanilla briefs that all look the same about take, city dwellers, kind of 15 to 45. And you're like, really? Can't you tell me something more interesting about them? And often today, more than ever, I think the demographic data is often the least interesting part. We work with clients who explicitly say to us, don't give us demographic data. We're not interested. We want to hear about what people do, what else they do, how else can we understand them, and how else can we understand people like them. So context and intent become way more important. I really encourage you to think about understanding those two things through the numbers and through any kind of data conversation that you have. What's the context? What's the intent of the person? And luckily, we can do a lot in this space. So some different ways to think about data. I just mentioned intent data. The great thing with tools like Google Search or YouTube or loads of other tools, shopping tools, people are out there telling us what they want to do. If they're going online and comparing fridges, you know that they're in that hot moment when they're looking for a fridge. And by the way, that only probably happens once every 10 years. So you want to grab that intent now and make it actionable and help guide them to your fridges. So we can tell a lot about people's intent, frankly, because they tell us. Life's good sometimes. Context. Where is this person? What's the weather like? Are they near a monument? Is the traffic bad at the moment? What day of the week is it? All of these kind of contextual data we can make sense of and create useful, meaningful, fun experiences for people. Targeting data. Of course, we'll talk a bit more about targeting and how to make that actionable, both at scale and in a very precise one-to-one way, which I think is really interesting as well. We've got these great scale tools. We can use them in a one-to-one manner. And usage data, what people are listening to, how far they're running, what stuff they're buying online, etc. All of these kind of mash together in a great way, and we can pick and choose and make the choices that are right for our brand and right for our audience for the right moment as well. How not to get overwhelmed with it, because this can get complex. The idea is to, as I mentioned earlier, I think of minimum viable data. So to simplify it, all types of data are welcome in this conversation. Some industries, brands, as I mentioned, have a lot of first-party data. If you're Netflix, you have a lot of first-party data. You can get great value out of that. So there's some very interesting conversations going on at the moment about getting value out of first-party data. So that's one obvious way. Google, of course, has loads of data as well. So we have built these kind of off-the-shelf audiences, outdoor sports fans, dog lovers, etc. And those are kind of quick fit ways to get to audiences at scale. And then if you want to go super detailed, you can build custom audiences, and you can define particular keywords and search terms, etc., and create value out of that. So flexible in terms of what kinds of data. And by the way, for any marketing objective as well, perhaps that's building awareness, consideration, or driving a specific action. Now, the great thing about where I sit in my job and for my team is we have this incredible creative toolkit. There are hundreds of products in the Google Creative Toolkit. This is how I think of these, all of these different products. It's great because loads of them work at scale, 9 products with over 1 billion users. And as I mentioned, we can also use them in a very kind of singular, customized one-to-one way. And the other thing is that because it's kind of data-driven, all of these are driven by data, that data flows easily between them. And just kind of we can hook up the tools and make them speak to each other in a way that's useful for us. And I'll give you examples of that. So 3 ways for you to think about using data in the creative conversation. First way is just listening. Back to that job of me in my old job as the strategy guy, I was meant to understand the conversations that people are having, what they care about, what motivates them. And today we've got an amazing opportunity to do that, and to do that at scale. I'm going to talk about innovative data-powered experiences, that kind of story-making aspect. With some of today's tools and technologies, the user can actually drive the experience in real time in an interactive manner. And that's can be just super engaging and fun. I'm sure we can find ways to create brand value out of that. We're going to talk, of course, also about targeting and delivery. Once you've got your content, how can you work with it and make sure that it's getting to the right people in the right manner? Back to those points on context and intent. So first stop is just listening. And there's a really great way to listen a lot. It's called Google Search. It's the world's biggest search engine, and it's pretty handy at telling you for free what the world is asking about your brand, your products, or your category, or just some of the bigger cultural conversations out there. So a brand who's doing this really, really well is Calvin Klein. They're using Google Search just to inform them about what are the questions that people are asking about our products. The answer for their underwear, female underwear, was bra sizing, big pain point for people, super complicated, doing some maths, all of this. So Calvin Klein's doing a really great job at just listening to that and then producing some really fun, engaging, authentic content with these two girlfriends, helping each other out and working out their bra sizes. It's really good. It's really simple, and it's a quick kind of left-right combo that I honestly think any brand could and should be doing today. Listen to what people are asking, and listen with Google search and speak, as it were, on YouTube. It's not going to win you Cannes Lions, probably, but it is great, and it is helping people. And in today's world, we're all here stuck at home. There's more opportunity than ever, I think, to engage with your consumers and just answer the questions that are helpful to them. So well done, Calvin Klein. Okay, so how about a campaign that can aspire to some Cannes Lions and is a really big brand-led umbrella campaign? How about when you get the opportunity to totally rebrand, as it were, a massive global brand from Unilever?
If you think of where Axe was like super popular, it was all about the lad kind of culture. Guys, they don't really think it's relevant anymore. Find Your Magic is all about that, calling on guys to just find this thing that makes them unique and attractive. For 2017, the plan was like to take this idea of Find Your Magic, but really infusing it in culture. It's just about fighting the traditional masculinity, empowering guys to be themselves. We gave the brief to our creatives. They actually typed, "Is it okay for guys too?" on Google, and you have an auto-suggest saying it's okay for guys to be short, to be skinny. It's quite crazy, like you change one letter and you see all those auto-suggests.
72 and Sunny Amsterdam came to us seeking to validate a hunch that they had, that young men felt pressure to conform to a certain expected ideal around what it means to be a man. And they asked questions of Google that they wouldn't be comfortable asking their parent or sibling or best friend. First thing that we started to do was to do a very in-depth analysis of search queries in this space. And what came out of it was actually behavior of men and guys fell into three buckets. One was around physical and well-being. The second was around roots of behavior. And then the third bucket was around this am I normal area, where guys were coming to Google seeking validation.
So the data we collected is pretty much the problem that is invisible to the world. We needed to provide the answer.
So 72 and Sunny Amsterdam crafted a beautiful hero film that brought to light the issue of men seeking validation around being normal.
The call to action from there is very clear. It's about go search and see for yourself. This is the real problem happening in society.
And then in addition to that, they tapped into influencers like Anthony Joshua and Wiley to then address those questions and concerns in an authentic way.
When people went online and searched for is it okay for guys to cry, they would then see an influencer. So all of them would actually respond to the main queries guys were asking.
So 72 and Sunny developed a very impressive strategy around using YouTube bumper ads.
So if someone would actually look for a cooking recipe, you would see first the bumper ad about is it okay for guys to cook?
When it comes to the impact of the campaign, we were blown away. It's not only millions of views and hundreds of thousands of shares and likes, but it also helped to understand more about how eager young guys are to move on. We are going to intensify our work against bullying, against labels for men, and try to help bring a bit of a voice to that. It's been a great experience, the project of Is It Okay for Guys, but it's only a start of a much longer story that we will continue to tell.
So there you really see the power of data, as it was nicely said there. It really allowed the Google team and my team here to work with the creative agency and confirm that hunch, as they beautifully put it. We kind of suspect this is going on. Does the data prove that this is a real kind of big societal thing going on? The answer was yes, and here's how to work it. Here's how to kind of architect your campaign, and then preempting my third point, kind of how to deliver that in context as well. So this was a really, really nice example. And this one, by the way, could aspire to some kind of creative hardware there. So a few shortlists at Cannes. So that's kind of just the listening part, understanding cultural conversations. let's talk about building these kind of data-driven experiences right into what users can connect with. So this is a project that we did with Adidas and with EA Games and with Jacquard, which is Google's connected textile technology.
All right, sitting down now. Right. Repeat after me. What you do in this world echoes.
I don't care what my name is, I just wanna run up on stage. First up the pages, claims over fame. Misbehaving, lifestyle raving, a name's just a name for namesake outrageous. Call me what you like.
I'll stop there in the interest of time, but behind that snazzy launch film, the basic architecture here is that you put a little connected device into your shoe as you're out in the street in real life playing foot soccer, and then that connects with your EA Games, so the social gaming platform. That gives it a social dimension, that gives it a kind of the power and the amplification of a major gaming platform, and you're the hero of this. The more goals you score, the more you run, the more bonuses you get in the gaming experience online, connecting real life and this kind of big platform power to expand the creative idea as well. So loads more exciting stuff coming in that space. And then let's talk a bit about targeting and delivery. Even once maybe we've shot a campaign and oh my goodness, COVID, we can't get back into the studio. How can we work with that existing content? That's what the challenge that my team often helps clients with. How can we help them slice it in different ways and customize it for different audience segments and then deliver it in the best possible manner? So fairly simple version here. This is kind of on YouTube, a project that we did with L'Oreal. Maybe you've got a global film about a new beauty product. Just by simply identifying, back to those data signals, just identify, don't overcook it here, 4 different segments who are interested in gaming, in food, in music, or in beauty. And with the same visual footage that maybe we shot a couple of months ago, or even 6 months ago, just with a bit of copywriting here, we can write headlines that really make the same product appeal to different audience segments. So for a gaming fan, it's going to be ready for the next level. For a foodie, sugar craving, it was a sugar scrub, by the way, so you can kind of tease out some product specifics here. You get the idea. So not very complicated, but very, very effective. You can see some results here. An appreciation from the L'Oreal client here, talking about how practical this was because we couldn't get back into the studio. So very cost efficient and actionable way of working. Well done, L'Oreal. And we've got other tools as well that allow us to kind of mega turbo boost this and put it on steroids and kick out literally tens of thousands of different versions from the same visual assets, highlights, and so on, and headlines, and so on. We can change copywriting, we can change music, we can localize for language, and so on. You can do this at scale. So for big brand advertisers, tools like Direct to Mix here on YouTube are pretty interesting, I think. Another project that my team did here, that's my 2-minute buzzer. I want to show you this project because it's all about targeting. It's called the Most Exclusive Collection.
To skip or not to skip? Fortunately for Yuke's, 14.7 million people decided not to skip. Yuke's is the world's leading online store for fashion and design. Yuke's believes fashion is timeless and that past collections have value. To prove its point, we created the most exclusive collection. We removed the most desired items from Yukes.com and made them available only through skippable ads. The catch? You only had one shot at getting each product. Skip the ad and you can kiss that item goodbye forever. To keep things fresh, we created 5 fashion death traps and rendered hundreds of products into each one of them. We combined YouTube targeting and the user's search history to deliver the right video to the right person. The resulting mechanic gamified the user experience, transforming a media format into a new e-commerce tool. The films received over 19 million views and sent over 300,000 people to the site. Uke sold 1,715 luxury items, including this expensive bag, for a total of over 266,000 euros worth of merchandise sold. Thanks for not skipping.
So I really love this case because it's just very simple, standard functionality. There's a functionality called frequency capping, so each individual user can only see the ad once. Just put it at 1. Don't need to break the system. But it works because of targeting. That one had 4 levels of targeting. The collection was divided male-female, so that's the only demographic information that was used, was male-female. Then it was, are these people fashionistas? Back to those kind of ready-to-go audience segments. So people who are generally interested in fashion. And then behavioral data, were these people online shoppers for luxury goods? So once we got those 3 bits of data, the key came here. This is the really individual one-to-one bit. So the individual person who saw an ad for Dolce & Gabbana in the last 7 days had gone on Google search and searched for the brand. They didn't need to offer any discount. It's just getting the right message to the person who's an absolute fashionista fan of Dolce & Gabbana and likes clicking online. All about targeting. And that one also, by the way, did collect some creative hardware. So really, really love that case. It's all about building targeting into the heart of the creative thinking. So 3 lessons to take away for you, just to finish off in the last seconds. These are, I think, some of the kind of big underlying challenges that we all need to think about now. So there's capabilities and partners, there's kind of process and timescale, how we work. And this is kind of always on dynamic. It's not just on-off campaigns anymore. So on the left, we need to adopt to just from campaign and creative thinking and storytelling to kind of systems thinking as well, plugging into those big platforms, working with some data science or some technical expertise and breaking down the silos and putting them with our creative teams right at the beginning of the conversation. That leads me to the second point. So end-to-end from briefing to creative expansion. Think of data as part of the creative process and kind of do it all of the time. So those are some of the underlying things. What you can do tomorrow, and I think right away, listen better. People tell us, as I said, via Google search, via YouTube, they tell us what they love. So listen. That's kind of part of our job, and that will inspire us to make the best choices about what content to make. Join it all up. So bring data early into the creative process, sit the data people down with the copywriters and the creative directors and so on, and with the media people, and get everybody thinking together. And then target and deliver in context. And again, that audience and context thinking, that's part of our jobs. That's part of the creative exercise. So let's enjoy it. That is all from me. So I hope that's not the end, but a beginning. And I hope that I've been able to excite some of the passion that I have about data and creativity. Enjoy your festival.